Bah! October the 1st, and there are no games today, so that means that it is time to review, to recap, to revise all of the action from round 2 of the Rugby World Cup. Kia ora everyone, my name is Zach and I love rugby. Welcome back to Haka Time Rugby. You may be wondering why I am wearing the All Blacks top today. The reason is it feels like forever since the All Blacks have played. Now they announced their team to play against Canada tomorrow, and it's about time. I think it's been 10 days between the game. Obviously the big match against the Springboks. Now the All Blacks are back in action. We'll recap that one in a later video, both predictions and recap. For now, we're talking about everything involved in round 2. What we'll do is we'll go through Pool A, Pool B, C, and D in order. We'll discuss some of the games. We'll discuss the scores in those games, key talking points from each of the games, and we'll also walk through what the implications are as we start to shape the picture for the quarterfinals. It's really starting to take shape now. I think we're starting to see some of the performances, obviously multiple games played by a lot of the big teams. We're starting to see what they're bringing to the table, and that quarterfinal outlook is starting to take shape. So let's get straight into it. Pool A. Okay, Pool A, let's go. There were 3 big games in this round from Pool A. The first one, Samoa kicked off their account against Russia. They took that one 34 points to 9. The first thing I'll say about this game is Samoa took a while to build into their work. The score looks like it was a very dominant performance by Samoa, but it was actually the second half where they really applied pressure and applied points. Now, they looked as if they're going to bring some real attacking threats in this game. That second half was very, very good and very, very dominant, so pleasing to see. As well as attacking threats, we know that the island teams always bring defensive pressure, and they did that again. 2 incidents in particular which led to cards. Both incidents had contact with the head, the first of which the ref made his position clear. Clear contact with the head based on the replays. I'm going to award a red card. It took the TMO to talk him down from this position. He pointed out that the Russian player was just dipping into the tackle and therefore contributed to the head contact. To me, finally, we're seeing some reasonable common sense applied in the contact area. I thought it was the right call. I'm glad to see refs applying a bit of common sense. I'm okay to use replays and TMOs for these types of conclusions because I think it's really important they get it right. The implications of getting it wrong in a red card is that you ruin the game, right? And we as fans suffer as a result. So they got this one right. Well done to the refs in this one. Same again for the second incident. Contact with the head, Russian player, same Russian player, Russian captain, dipping slightly in the tackle, and therefore contributed to the contact. So let's hope it continues with the voice of reason here around the contact area, which has been really, really inconsistent. The third point I want to make is I'm really, really enjoying watching this Russian team. They are very, very entertaining. They're not going to die wondering. They're happy to have a crack. Yes, they're not favoured here, but they're really trying to put their talents on the world stage. One guy in particular that I'm loving to watch, Tagyar Gadziev, the flanker from Russia. Huge work rate, very, very strong in the breakdown and the contact. He's really good. The other highlight is really the post-match interviews with their captain, who doesn't sound like he spent a day in Russia, but okay, we'll call him the Russian captain. And that's a joke, by the way. Please don't take that one seriously. Strong Irish accent as well. But he's a joy to watch. He referenced Samoa as giving them his best wishes from to the little island of Samoa from the larger island of Russia. So really, really high-spirited, good, fun captain there. Keep watching this Russian team. They're really, really enjoyable to watch. So I advise everyone to watch all of their games. Really, really cool. The next one, Ireland versus Japan. Now, we know how this one went down. Huge upset, huge occasion, incredible match. Japan take this one 19 points to 12. Okay, major takeaways. Ireland stopped playing rugby at the 20-minute mark. It was really disappointing. They didn't put any other points on. After jumping out to a 12-point-3 lead, they seemed to clock off. Now, I'm not going to go in too much depth into the full analysis because I did do a separate video on this. But Japan in particular, they seem to have the most mobile forwards in the game. Huge work rates, very, very skilled. They're able to interplay between forward and back play. Very, very slick handling throughout. And just hugely entertaining. That is why Japan is everyone's second favorite team. But we want to see the host team do well. So to get this result is huge for World Rugby. Really, really impressive to watch. Where does it put us in terms of the quarterfinals? Now, critical point. Ireland managed to secure the losing bonus point in this one. That means that if results play out the way they will, that bonus point could be crucial. There are still outcomes where Ireland could finish top of this pool. There is an outcome where Ireland could finish second qualifier in the pool. That means you're either playing South Africa or you're playing New Zealand. There's still a lot of rugby to be played, but that game between Scotland and Japan will decide this pool. For Ireland, the results are out of their hands. They'll have to see how that one goes. The next game, Scotland beat Samoa. That game happened yesterday, 34 points to 0. Now, first thing we have to talk about in this one is the conditions. Hugely humid. I mean, in a stadium where the roof was closed, it seems to trap that humidity. It creates a wet weather-like conditions. And you saw it play out. Huge handling errors, very, very difficult to get any kind of ascendancy. Just lots of errors, and that's just how the game looked in this one. In conditions like this, what wins rugby matches is field position, territory, rugby IQ, game management. These things, unfortunately, were lacking from the Samoan side. They were certainly there on the Scottish side. Now, the Scotland team did take a little while to get on top of Samoa. They really broke them sort of from the 30-minute onwards. That's when they really scored quickly and started to jump out to a lead. From that point, Samoa never looked like scoring any points. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, these conditions, they can't be easy to play in. Handling error is obviously an issue, but also what's quite disappointing is just some of the thinking and some of the decisions that were made by the Samoan team. I think they could have done better in a number of areas, but let's just say, this was not a great watch. This game in particular was not a great watch. So that's it from Pool A. 3 matches. Where it leaves us is Scotland showed a lot more in this game than they did against Ireland. Now, whether or not that was because of Irish defensive pressure or because they were able to play better game management and territory in this game against Samoa, we don't know. But Scotland certainly showed some of their attacking threats in Hogg. Obviously, incredible runner from the back there. So let's see how it goes. We have the big match between Scotland and Japan to look forward to. That will essentially decide how this goes. Scotland must get a win in that in order to go through. If they don't, they're out of the World Cup. So huge match for both host nation as well as Scotland, and that will determine how the quarterfinals shape up. On to the next pool. Let's go Pool B. Okay, into Pool B. Only 2 games from this pool. The first one being Italy versus Canada, where Italy took this one 48 points to 7. Now, what I'm really enjoying about Pool B is Italy is bringing a hugely entertaining game. They're very, very slick in the back line, and they're scoring some incredible tries. I actually think one of the best tries of this tournament so far was in their previous game where the lock did the little around-the-back flick pass, almost Sonny Bill style, and they were able to score a try. But they're really, really showing their attacking prowess here against some of these teams. So Italy is a team to watch. I mean, they're not favoured to beat either the All Blacks or South Africa, but they're certainly proving that they can put points on the board, and I'm hoping we get some competitive games as a result of that. But let's wait and see. Canada kicking off their account. They managed to get a try, so fair play to them. But they're not expected to do much in this tournament. Like all of these lower tier teams, there are some incredible talent. They're definitely worth checking out. So stay tuned in all of the games. They may not be looking to qualify for the quarterfinals, but they're looking to get something out of these games, to prove their capability, to show what they can do, and to put some of their players on the world stage. So make sure you check them out. The second game in this pool, again a bit of a mismatch, but South Africa taking on Namibia and winning that one 57 points to 3. Now, in these games, the most important thing for the top tier teams is to secure the bonus point. South Africa did that, and they put some points on the board. Yes, it was entertaining, but there was a clear mismatch in terms of talent in this one, and the expected result was the expected result. We don't care about margin. All we care about in these, and this is what the major teams will be caring about, is that they secure that bonus point. So South Africa managed to do that. We're on track for what everyone expects out of this pool, which is New Zealand to go through now as the top qualifier, having beaten South Africa, obviously, in that game last week. And South Africa going through in the second qualifier. Italy may have something to say about that, so let's wait and see. Hopefully they can make these matches competitive, but that's the way it's shaping up at the moment. And finally, we get to see an All Blacks game tomorrow. I can't wait. It's against Canada. The selections, it looks like they're sticking with Moanga and Barrett combination there. They'll continue to work on their combination. But to be honest, there are no other first fives in the New Zealand team, so it has to be those two. There's an argument Jordie Barrett could play in first five, but he hasn't really been tested there under the microscope and pressure of international rugby, so they continue to play their team. Is it a risk? Let's see tomorrow. But as I say, Pool B is very much shaping up as expected. New Zealand likely to go through as the top qualifier. South Africa likely to go through as the second qualifier. Let's see. Let's move on. Okay, on to Pool C. 2 games in this round. England taking on USA and winning that one 45 points to 7. Now, first thing I thought about this, I was really excited about seeing Joe Kokonasiga play, but I found he had a lot of errors in this game. England come away with the win, obviously, and that's important. Much like I said in the Pool B outcomes, at this stage, the Tier 1 teams are only really interested in coming away obviously with the bonus point, that's critical, also injury-free, and also with an opportunity to test some more combinations. Now, England did that, job done. There's not really too much more to say on this one, but again, I think USA is another team, enterprising team, that are willing to put it all out there, and definitely worth a watch. We're quite fortunate now that we get to see so much rugby, and take this opportunity just to watch some of these teams, because you might unearth some talent there. You might see some play that you really enjoy. You might even see some things you've never seen before. But it's important you tune in, because the World Cup doesn't come around all that often. So, important thing here, England got the win. They roll on. Sweet chariot keeps moving forward, right? The next game, so we had Argentina playing Tonga. Argentina picked that one up 28 points to 12. Now, Tonga is really, really impressing me. They're really coming out and they're giving it everything. This was certainly not as physical as the game between Tonga and England previously, but Tonga are still showing that they are willing and that they are able. Now, they were outmuscled in the end by a very, very strong Argentinian pack. Argentina in particular, I mean, they're a team with great speed out wide, strong pack. They were able to get the win here, but Tonga proved they can be competitive. And again, this is why I love watching the next tier of rugby, because every now and again you see some of these incredible players coming out and you see some great games. So I guess there's not really too much more to say about these games. It really was tier 1 against tier 2, and the results were as expected. Probably Tonga got a lot closer than most people expected, but this is still shaping up the same way, in that it is very likely it's going to come down between France and Argentina, although England still could stumble along the way. The next one is between England and Argentina. That's going to be huge, and it starts that lead up that England have to have of the tier 1 nations leading into the quarterfinals and beyond that. Tough run for England going forward. So they're expected to beat Argentina. They're probably expected to beat France as well the following week. If they do win those 2 games, then they're into quarters. Then they're into semis. Then they're into finals. That's 5 games on the trot against tier 1 nations. So, and with World Cup pressure. So Argentina is playing for their life against England. France, they'll be playing to secure their quarterfinal spot against England. Everyone else, the game is on the line. So I think it's very, very... Probably England has the toughest run of any team in this World Cup. So let's see how they respond. This game against Argentina is going to be huge, but it's certainly shaping up as we expect that it's going to come down to these 3 teams. England looks the best of them. Argentina was unlucky against France, but they finished... Obviously, they didn't win that game. And France looks inconsistent as usual and may bring anything to the table once they play England. If they are able to beat England, then this is wide open, right? So let's see how it plays out. But that's my call recap on this one. Still, we are looking like the two teams will be France and England at this stage. Next pool, Pool D. Okay, on to the next one, Pool D, last pool. 3 big games. The first one, the unexpected happened. The first of the major upsets. Uruguay beat Fiji 30 points to 27. Now, first thing we need to say about this game, incredible courage, incredible passion by Uruguay. If you watch any of the post-match interviews, watch this one from the Uruguayan captain. Oh man, he got me right on the field. So he said a few key words. He said they had to go and find that passion to win that game. They didn't know where it came from. They had to go find it. He also said how much he loves his country. Oh man, this is what rugby is all about. This is what the Rugby World Cup is all about. It throws up these types of results where you get unfavoured teams toppling the more favoured teams. And Fiji is certainly expected to beat Uruguay in this game. Couple of points we have to talk to on this one. Firstly, the selection policy for Fiji. They made 12 sweeping changes from the team that was competitive, and particularly they won the first half against Australia in the last match. And they made 12 changes to the team. Now, was that cockiness? Was that arrogance? Was that they were expecting to beat Uruguay? I think it was. I think the coach just took them a little bit too lightly here. The other thing, game management. I'm telling you right now, these games are coming down to game management, and I think it is going to be crucial once we get to quarterfinal time, which teams manage the games the best. And Uruguay played far better field position. They had a lot more attacking threats in this one. Fiji just seemed to have error after error after error and just leaking points continually. They welcomed Uruguay into the game. Uruguay were good enough to take it in the end. Congratulations to them. But it comes back to the point around selection policy and game management, and teams really need to take these seriously. What we're seeing now is that the All Blacks, for example, have selected their best and only 2 fly halves. So I think part of that is combination, but I also think part of that is you can't take any teams lightly anymore. And this is another example of where you take a team lightly, it can sometimes come back to bite you. So unlucky to Fiji, who had a really opportunity in this World Cup to try and upset, try and ruffle some feathers, and try and do well. Second game, Uruguay back in action against Georgia. Now, Georgia proved that their pack is just too big and too strong, and they muscled through this one and took the win 33 points to 7. Now, Uruguay just couldn't match the passion, and it was a quick turnaround for them being only 4 days, but Georgia just too good. I mean, their forwards are incredibly strong, and they've scored most of their points through their forwards. That's one of their key strengths, and just too good for Uruguay. They didn't take them lightly as well. From a selection perspective, they really focused on a lot of their good players applying themselves in this game, so that was great to see, and they get the expected result. So they go on and continue their march forward. Now, the last game, which we'll cover, I've covered it already in depth in one of my analysis. Wales beat Australia in what was expected to be the major game from this pool, 29 points to 25. Now, I've already covered this one, but I'll say a couple of points. I'll repeat a couple of points again. The point on Gareth Davies' try. Now, I think I said he looked offside to me. I've watched this numerous times, and I'm going to say it's 50-50, which means I'm okay with the call, okay? I'm fine with the call of try. I'm fine with the fact that the TMO didn't check it, although I think it's close enough you probably should, but it's okay. Wales deserved the win. Their defence was superior to Australia. They probably just dipped their heads a little bit and welcomed Australia back into the game in the second half. Australia were good enough to score points there. Wales obviously dominated the first half, both points, territory, and in terms of the outcome. And Australia showed that they can still be strong. Now, selections is an issue for Australia. I covered this in my video. Bernard Foley did not have his best game. He did not look great at all. Matt Tamua made an immediate impact. Pocock and Hooper didn't seem to work. I'd probably rest Pocock in the next one. They have some other good mobile loose forward options they can select from. And the third point is Checker needs to get his head screwed on correctly because his attitude is creating a toxic environment in this Wallabies team. They need to stop making excuses, start playing rugby, and mate, you're representing your country, so come on. Australians probably demand more from this team. Get your head in the game. You do know the rules. Stop saying you don't know the rules in the press conference. And stop being so defeatist. It's a bad look. It's a real bad look. So That's it. That's Pool D. I mean, in terms of how this one plays out, I mean, Fiji dropping was a big issue. Georgia doesn't look to have the goods to be able to topple over Australia on this one. So I think, as expected, Wales and Australia will go through. Wales is the top qualifier. Australia is the second qualifier. Australia has a habit of doing well beyond there, so hopefully they can sort out their selection issues. Hopefully Cheika can galvanise this team and we can see the best version of the Wallabies. There's so much talent in this team that they really just need to put it together and they can be competitive. So let's see it. That's it. That's round 2. That's all the pools. Big game tomorrow. All Blacks finally play. I can't wait. And more rugby coming. We're kind of at the halfway point now in this Rugby World Cup. So, you know, we've seen some incredible results already. We've seen some great games already. The quarterfinals are starting to take shape, but there's a couple of crucial games that will decide the final outcomes. Keep watching, guys. Keep watching. And stay tuned for more videos. If you liked this, please like, comment, subscribe. I went through it very quickly. I didn't want to waste too much time in this video, but I wanted to cover as much of it as possible. Watch all the games and watch all the Tier 2 teams as well, because there's some great talent there. I've learned a thing or two about these teams in terms of their strengths and weaknesses, and some of the players there, incredible. So shine a little light on some of these Tier 2 teams. Let's get them behind them and enjoy the Rugby World Cup. Please come back for more videos. I'll see you all soon. Take care.